Oshkosh Media is government programming on GovTV, community programming on Life TV, and community radio on Oshkosh FM 101.9.
Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and municipal news, and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda.
Hi there, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the City Manager's Report. I'm John Urban. With me, of course, City Manager for the City of Oshkosh, Mark Roloff. And today we're going to be talking about news and notes of things happening here in the City of Oshkosh. We'll also be talking about some highlights for the upcoming Tuesday, October 8th, Oshkosh Common Council meeting. The reason I'm sitting in, though, is, of course, our own Emily Springstroh. She's on maternity leave, and I think that's where we want to start, is congratulate her and her husband.
Yeah, congratulate Emily and Mike on their new baby boy. So excited that they're going to be having a lot of sleepless nights over the next couple of months. And not that I don't enjoy having you, John, but can't wait for Emily to rejoin us in January.
For the sake of our viewers, please, Emily, come back soon.
Stick with us, everybody, please.
All right, we're going to first start off talking a little bit about some city updates and municipal news, Mark, starting with the Oshkosh Congress Avenue DOT bridge closures. And this is something that's going to impact people that use the bridge on a regular basis. Yeah,
beginning Monday, October 7th, you're going to start seeing some partial closures. Generally Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. So that lane restrictions are going to begin on October 7th. But then I want to make sure everybody's aware there's going to be a full closure from October 21st to November 1st, and that'll be Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. We want people to know, primarily morning commute. By the time the afternoon commute starts, the bridge should be open. So this is something that the Department of Transportation is doing in advance of a full bridge closure. It's going to be starting in probably around January. So just be aware that this is the early closure, and we'll give you more information later. And we'll keep pushing this out through various outlets, social media and things, because we want everybody to know, because you got to plan your commute in the morning. And if it takes you a few minutes out of the way, we want you to get to work and whatnot on time.
All right. The other thing we want to talk about is there's been a lot of questions and news about the arena and what's going on with the arena in the last couple of days. But there's been several stories about it. What is the latest with the arena, and where do we stand now?
There are a lot of things going on with Menominee Nation Arena due to their announcement of getting to what's called restructuring under the bankruptcy law, Chapter 11. The city has a certain part of that, but a lot of the things that you're reading and hearing about in the media, while they relate to the arena, they don't necessarily relate to the city of Oshkosh. We have a development agreement with Menominee Nation Arena, Fox Valley Pro Basketball, and that is part of our tax increment district, where we make an incentive payment to them to reimburse them for costs that they incurred early on in the project. And part of that is they paid us $2.75 million, $2.75 million to get all the public improvements done in that area that were benefiting them. So this is money that they've already paid in. Now we're repaying them. But part of the agreement was that they had to stay current with all their other bills, meaning they had to have their contractors paid off. Clearly that hasn't happened. So rather than get into are they or are they not out of compliance, we believe they're out of compliance, but we also recognize for the success of the arena, and so that the herd season can start without any doubts, because I think a lot of people are concerned and don't understand that Fox Valley Pro Basketball is the owner of the arena. The Wisconsin Herd is merely a tenant of the arena. So we want to make sure that people understand this, and we want to make sure that the arena has the best chance of success. And so we're going to be giving them their payment, their incentive payment that is due, and that's a direct result of them paying their property taxes. But they do owe us some money for some prior costs, some police and fire services associated with the last basketball season, utilities, and some legal costs that we've incurred throughout this whole affair. We will be deducting that from right off the top of the amount that they're going to be getting. The idea is that that will give them some cash flow that they need to work with their other creditors. There was just something in the one of the local online newspapers this morning talking about how they've reached a settlement with some other people. those don't have anything to do with us. So what we've done is we're planning to give them slightly under $400,000 in November, and that should keep them going while they work through the restructuring that is part of a Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
But the main thing we want to focus on is the herd will be starting their season coming up in November.
Absolutely, and that's really the question that everybody wants to know. I got my season tickets. I'm going to the first game on November 8th. The herd's still there. A lot of people don't realize the Paper Valley, the Red Lion Inn up in Appleton is going through the same exact thing. The hotel's open, the hotel's operating. Those things happen in the business world. We've got protections for our folks, but the arena is going to be open. The herd season is going to continue. So I want to assure people that those things are going on, and the city is working with, to the degree we can, working with everybody involved.
All right, we want to shift gears a little bit and talk about a county issue that does impact city residents, though, and it's about this whole having the county consider adoption of flood storage districts. And again, it sounds like a county issue, but it definitely will impact city residents.
Well, the city of Oshkosh is in Winnebago County, and there are flooding issues that have to be done on a larger basis. In this case, we're talking about Sawyer Creek, which about a third of Sawyer Creek is in the city, and the rest of it is outside the city, out in the town of Algoma, Nakaimai, Utica, etc. In order to comply with federal law, and in order to make the county eligible for reimbursement for flood emergencies like we had in 2008, the idea is that they have to update their floodplain maps, and that means identifying what are called flood storage districts. What that means is properties that are considered these areas, if they want to fill in these areas, and mostly they're already filled in with water, if they want to fill that in to develop, they have to find another place to excavate. Basically, they call it shovel for shovel. So why should anybody be cared about this? Well, certainly it's primarily out in rural areas, but there's a lot in the city too that are impacted by this. But there's properties, if we don't get this map approved by the county, there are people inside the city and outside the city, they're going to be required to have flood insurance that right now it's not necessary. So we don't want to put our residents or our neighbors to the west in a position where they're buying unnecessary flood insurance. So what we're trying to do is get the county board to understand this, and we want our residents to be aware of it. You may have gotten a letter about that. You got to be in Sawyer Creek. You got to be near some of the waterways of Sawyer Creek. But we all need to care about this because this is going to continue throughout the county.
So the Winnebago County Board will be considering this at their October meeting, the October 15th meeting.
Correct. And so, and if it's not passed, these properties they may be required to have flood insurance that they don't need. So if you do get something in the mail from the city, please look at it and please let your county board supervisor know, or even show up to the meeting on October 15th. I think they need to hear from residents more than the city. We've chimed in on it, but really this is more about individual properties, and we want to make sure that our property owners and our neighbors to the west don't unnecessarily have to be required to have flood insurance. So we need this map approved.
Okay. We also want to talk a little bit now about some updates with some major road constructions projects we've had here during the summer, including both Hazel and Oregon. And I know we're getting close on both of them, correct?
As rainy as this summer has been, we are on schedule for both these projects. The first one I believe we're going to talk about is Hazel Street. So this is the completed part. Everything north of Merritt is pretty much done. It's not until you get to Merritt and you start heading south towards, I believe it's toward Washington Avenue, that you see that it's still a little rocky and everything like that. The neighbors still have access, but you see there's still a little work to go. Mm-hmm. So, steer clear of Hazel, south of Merritt, but certainly north of Merritt and south of Irving Avenue, things are open and things you can access Menominee Park very well.
Okay, and then we also have, of course, Oregon Street.
Oregon Street, phase 2 of a multi-year phase to put sanitary sewer and then redo the street. 20th and Oregon is still closed, so you can see that area. It looks really good, but they're just putting the final touches on that. I mentioned Hazel Street. That's going to be done probably the week of November 4th. Oregon Street's actually scheduled to be finished the week of October 21. So we're only a few weeks away from completion. So just be patient. It's been a long summer, but they've stayed ahead of this even with all the rain delays we've had. So we're excited, and it looks so much nicer. And then, of course, what people don't necessarily realize is the sewers are getting done, which will allow for development in the southern part of the city to happen in the future.
All right. Great to see that those things are wrapping up, those two projects. All right, we also want to talk about another project that's wrapping up soon, and that's the Little Oshkosh replacement. So how's that going?
It's going very well. Video kind of shows it that it looks like the playground's all done, but there's still some finishing work that needs to get done. You'll see it looks like some new concrete was poured just in the last day or two, and then they're actively working on the concrete, but most of the playground itself has been constructed. It's not ready. It's not kid ready or anything like that, because you can see that it's still gravel in the landing areas for the park, and that's where we're going to be putting in the rubberized surface. So kids will be able to land and bounce back. Kids are great and resilient, but they need a little rubber to help them. So that's still yet to be done, and that's continuing. And we estimate by the end of October we'll be finished with this. But I know for some people it's not the Little Oshkosh that you knew as a kid, but it's still going to be a great location, a great play area, and the bricks are still there, and all those things that everybody remembers fondly about Little Oshkosh will still be there, and we'll be done with a little time for the kids to enjoy it before it takes a little winter break before they can enjoy it in the spring.
Okay, so we're going to be excited to see how that wraps up here in the next couple of weeks. All right, moving on to the Lakeshore Park Master Plan. I know we've been working on this for months now, so how's that coming along?
Well, it's coming along slowly. The thing that held it up was the Parks Board liked different features of all three conceptual plans they were shown, and so we're kind of mishmashing them together to get the best of all three possible worlds. So our consultants at the Smith Group, they've been working on putting this all together, and we had it all ready to go. We're planning to go for October 14th, but we live in Northeast Wisconsin, John, and we're moving this meeting to October 21st. Why, you ask? Packers play Monday night. And, we didn't want to do something that made it look like we were trying to keep people from wanting to say something. So if you were planning to show up on the second Monday, which is our normal time for our advisory park board meeting, we're moving it to October 21st, and that'll give the Smith Group more time to kind of work on it and show it, but it'll also give people an opportunity that they can come to the meeting, chime in on things they like or don't like about the plan. The Advisory Parks Board wants to take it all under advisement, and then they'll be making a recommendation to the Plan Commission, and then the Plan Commission will make a recommendation to the City Council.
Is there a timeline set up for all of this to be approved by? Have we set any sort of a goal in terms of having it wrapped up at a certain time or anything?
I think the goal is always to get it ready, this fall. So we're still on that, but we anticipate that if the Parks Board were to approve it at this meeting on October 21st, then November the Plan Commission and the Council would take it up. But if the if the Parks Board wants to tweak it a little more, we've got time to do it. It's not like we're going to be constructing anything. This is a master plan that's going to be 10, 20 years down the road. So we don't need to necessarily get it done by a date certain. We're okay getting it done in the fall. We really do value that public input, and we've gotten great participation with our Polco surveys. We've gotten good attendance at our meetings. People are genuinely interested in this. And so now we want to say, okay, Parks Board, tell us what you think, and then move it on through our commission. So I would expect that it's going to be done in November.
Okay, sounds good. And then the Menominee Clans exhibit coming to the Oshkosh Public Museum. This is kind of exciting.
This is really something to be proud of in Oshkosh. Through the relationship that Museum Director Brad Larson has been able to develop with the Menominee tribe, they were looking for a new home for this Menominee Clans exhibit, and it's currently at the UW Stevens Point Museum of Natural History, but they've agreed to transfer it over to the Oshkosh Public Museum, and so we're putting up a permanent exhibit. It'll be on the second floor, and it's going to open on October 12th. Our museum staff have been working anxiously on this, and we've developed a great relationship with the Menominees through their assistance when we were putting together the People of the Waters exhibit. So if you haven't been to the museum in a couple years, absolutely go. You're going to see some great local history that is very unique, and it's very up to date. It honors the history, but it does it in a much more interactive, modern sort of way. And then you're going to be able to see, ancient exhibits from the Menominees that really tell some great history about Oshkosh and the regions in and around Lake Winnebago and Butamore and the Fox River. I'm excited about this. I'm so proud of the staff at the museum that have worked so closely, and I want to thank the Menominee tribe. They're entrusting us with relics from their history. These are only on loan, but these are permanent type of loan. So they've selected us to entrust us with their relics, and I can't think of a higher honor.
And again, that Menominee Clans exhibit opens October 12th at the Oshkosh Public Museum, so keep that in mind. All right, Mark, that kind of wraps up our first section of the show, which is talking about city updates and municipal news. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to continue with some highlights of the Tuesday, October 8th Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda, so stay tuned. We'll be back with more of the City Manager's Report right after this.
Do you ever wonder if you have enough working smoke alarms in your house? Well, the Oshkosh Fire Department has a program to make sure that you do. The program is called Project Safe, and that's smoke alarms for everyone. And what that does is we will come into your house, we will check to make sure you have working smoke alarms on every level of your home. That is the bare minimum. You should have one on every single level of your home, including the basement. And if you do not, we will install them for you free of charge. Or if you have detectors and just not working batteries, we will also replace the batteries free of charge. The detectors we use to replace yours are these detectors right here. They have a 10-year battery, and that means that these will work for 10 years. That is considered a disposable smoke detector because smoke detectors last about 10 years. So if yours are older than 10 years, you should pitch them and get some new ones as well. Give me a call at 236-5249 and we can make an appointment, and I will come in and make sure that you have the right amount of detectors, that they are working, and if not, I'll replace them for you right there on the spot. It doesn't take much time. It's about a 15-minute deal. We're in, we're out. Just remember that working smoke detectors are your best chance of saving a life in a fire. Your family's safety is in your hands. Take the time, give us a call, and once a month, test your alarm, make sure that it's working, and stay safe.
Welcome back to the City Manager's Report. I'm your host, John Urban. Joining me as usual, City Manager for the City of Oshkosh, Mark Roloff. We're now going to be talking about some highlights from the upcoming Common Council meeting coming up on Tuesday, October 8th. And Mark, we're starting things off talking about one of the public hearing items, which seems like a lot of money. I mean, it is a lot of money, but it's more of a, sounds like it's more of a formality as to how it's being set up. And this is a public hearing related to amendments to 8.7 million City of Oshkosh, Wisconsin revenue bonds, and it's something to do with the YMCA.
Yeah, the city has the ability through state law to essentially sponsor what are called revenue bonds. They used to be called industrial revenue bonds, but they've expanded because obviously the YMCA isn't an industry, but a lot of nonprofits take advantage of this financing mechanism that we have a limited ability to essentially sponsor bonds. We have no financial commitment whatsoever, but we have the ability to say, we feel that this project is important enough to our community to get special financing. The Y's already gone through the financing, but they're doing some additional financing, just cleaning up with the rest of the project. So this is amendments to that initial $8.7 million. So we're happy to help the YMCA what a great investment that they've made in the downtown. We redid Washington Street. They completely redid their building, making it a state-of-the-art complex. So this is just doing the final touches on their financing plan, and we're certainly happy to be that conduit to make that all happen.
All right, and as it sometimes happens, there's several items coming up throughout this agenda. They're kind of tied to the same issue, and that includes items 2, 8, and 9, which it sounds like it's all tied, Mark, to this Fernau concrete paving project. How can you explain how these all tie together?
Well, Fernau Court is an area in our northern industrial park. It's right off of Fernau Avenue, and we really had to wait until we had enough money accumulated in our tax increment district up there to fund the paving of this street. So it's been a number of years, and the businesses have been very patient, but it's time to pave the street. And now that we're aware, and the businesses, frankly, we're saying, come on, guys, we need this done. So we're getting it done this year. Normally what we do, because this is a relatively small project, is we take a look at our existing contracts that are open for street projects. We just talked about them earlier in the show with Hazel Street and Oregon Street. Hazel Street, the contractor for there, they gave us a very good bid to add Fernau Court to the project. So now we're going to be able to get that project added, and so we're doing a change order of about $265,000. Technically, it reads that it's getting done on the Hazel Street project, but very little of it's related to Hazel Street. We wouldn't be getting council approval for something that small, but Fernau is over $250,000, so we want to get that added on, and it really saves money. If we had bid this out separately, it would have been more costly. We're getting the value of really economies of scale for having done it this way. So we're happy to get it done, happy to help the businesses who are out there, and looking forward to getting that project paved.
Perfect. All right, under pending ordinances, we want to talk about item number 15, and this is approved closure of Wagoo Avenue and Otter Avenue at their railroad crossings, and this sounds like this is to improve those crossings.
This is a project from CN Railroad. A lot of people don't know the history of these. Because we were here before the railroads, the city of Oshkosh was, these are our streets that they have the privilege of using their tracks on our streets. So they are crossing our streets, so they need permission from us to do these closures. But of course, we've heard from plenty of people that said, hey, we really need this railroad work done. So the idea is council will give them permission, but in order to do this, they need to close the street. So Wagoo and Otter Street will be closed. It'll be later this month in October. We don't have the exact dates. The railroad has a lot of moving parts with all their projects. So look for announcements on social media for the exact dates. But I've heard from plenty of people that Otter and Wagoo need a little TLC over on the railroad crossings, and this will make it happen.
And it's not uncommon, correct, that the city gets calls from time to time from residents thinking that the railroad issues are something the city can address.
I would love to be able to address these things, but the reality is that they're owned by the railroad or they have permission to cross our street, but we don't have the expertise. This takes some specific skills, and they can get this done. We have to push them sometimes. I mean, we've had other issues where they've been slow to get these things done. So we have to ride them a little bit to make sure that they get done. And Public Works, I think, does a pretty good job of keeping on them, because when these streets are closed, it's an inconvenience for the whole neighborhood.
Okay. Under new resolutions, number 16, it's talking about approving a general development plan and amendment for a piece of property at 1033 North Washburn. What is the property and where is this located? Give us a reference point.
Well, this is the item you've read in the paper about ChickFilA. You know, they just opened one up to the north in Grand Chute a couple months ago. So this is actually right on Washburn, just south of Westtown, and you can see it right here on the map. It's practically fronting Interstate 41. Some people recently have seen the new Verve go up that's not even shown on the aerial map here, and just to the south of it, the Steinhoffel's mattress store. This is where the proposed ChickFilA site is, and so this has gone through the Plan Commission with their general development plan and specific implementation plan now, and so now it goes to council.
And they want to talk about two issues, right? Isn't it really coming down to that?
Yeah, this is a planned unit development, and with those planned developments, they may seek some things that aren't exactly meeting up with our code. The idea is there's a little give and take. They ask for some concessions in some area, and we ask for concessions in another. In this case, the location of their drive-through, they would like it to be facing Washburn. I'm not a big fan of them facing a main street, but in this case it's elevated, and it would really, if they didn't put the drive-through there, it would create some safety concerns. And if you've seen what's been going on at the ChickFilA up in Grand Chute, there are going to be a lot of people going in there. We don't want any vehicle pedestrian conflicts there. So quite honestly, I think in this case it makes sense. But in exchange for that, they're going to be putting in some extra landscaping because we want to shade that from the road. And similarly, there's a dumpster enclosure there that has already been approved in the general development plan. But it's still an exception. And again, we're asking for additional landscaping. We want to make it look nice. It's a fast food place, but you can make those look nice.
So if this amendment is approved, what are the next steps, and what's the timeline when this new ChickFilA may open?
Well, I would imagine, I saw it go pretty quickly up to the north, so I imagine that if this gets approved by the council, that they'll probably try to get foundation work done in before the end of the year, but I think the idea is they want to be open for summer of 2020.
Okay. Another item under new resolution we want to talk about, again, another restaurant, is approve amendment for a tax incremental district development, correct?
Yeah, that's it.
Agreement. And that's the new Mineshaft?
That is the new Mineshaft. A few little things have happened since they got started. Some minor amendments to the development agreement, but they do require council approval. It's nothing major, but how things are done with their just their financing, very similar to other projects that we've done. So this is the location. They really haven't done a lot of work. I think they've been working behind the scenes on this financing. Now that they've got their banks lined up, because there's 3 different businesses, 3 different banks, 3 different sets of attorneys, so we got to work through all those things. This will get it taken care of, and then I think you're going to see groundbreaking. I mean, they've done the informal groundbreaking, but they'll really start getting going on this now.
Okay, so you think by when can we expect to see this maybe open?
Oh, I expect this again to be another 2020 opening, but they've been a little slow. It may take it into the summer, I'm guessing.
Okay, that's exciting as well. All right, we also want to talk about, under council direction and future agenda items, there's going to be an Oshkosh Area School District and Common Council joint meeting coming up.
We try to, once or twice a year, get together with the school board and the city council to just discuss items of mutual concern. I think the big one, probably this time around, is going to be discussions of school busing and students taking GO Transit to get to school and things like that. A lot of districts in Wisconsin have entered into agreements with cities where they pay a certain portion. We already have that arrangement with Fox Valley Technical College and a different type of agreement with the university. But the idea is the school and the city work together to try to figure out a way to get school children to ride the buses a little cheaper. So that issue's out there, and we'll see where that goes. It's really more of a matter of what's the appropriate mix of those things. So we're going to be hosting it here at City Hall, room 404, but it'll be at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, October 15th.
Okay, and the last item we wanted to talk about is the recognition of the new Midtown Neighborhood Association.
Another neighborhood association. We're very excited. This one's a very easy one to describe. It's a pure triangle. New York Avenue on the north, Irving on the south, the railroad tracks, the CN railroad tracks on the east, and Main Street on the west. We're excited when neighborhoods try to get together and develop plans that'll make all the values in the property improve. So welcome Midtown Neighborhood Association to our growing number of neighborhood associations, and we really look forward to working with them.
All right, well, thanks, Mark. That wraps up the show. I have to read through again now all the things that we have to promote in terms of how to watch our channels and so forth. So again, the Common Council meeting is coming up on Tuesday, October 8th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live here on Oshkosh Media. You can watch it on GovTV and on our website, oshkoshmedia.org, or you can listen to it on 101.9 Oshkosh FM, which is also online and on the TuneIn radio app for mobile devices. Make sure to like Oshkosh Media on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for all of your community and government programming updates, or check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of your favorite programs. Don't forget, if you have a question for our City Manager Mark Roloff, send it to us on Twitter at City of Oshkosh, post it on our Facebook page, or email questionmark@ci.oshkosh.wi.us, and Mark will answer it on the next episode of CMR. So, for City Manager Mark Roloff, I'm John Urban. Thanks for watching this edition of the City Manager's Report. Good night.